Retirees of the future won't own houses, but they'll have way bigger retirement accounts. One of the most common problems we see in media today is housing prices and the affordability crisis that has come with a lack of housing supply and increasing demand for accommodations all around the United States. I contend this is far less of an issue than people make it out to be. For example, it wasn't until the late 70s, early 80s that we actually introduced retirement plans. And now, today, 54% of Americans have retirement accounts, and 73% of Americans have access to employer-sponsored plans at work. Just 25 years ago, in the year 2000, the average retirement account balance per household was about $27,000 in the United States. Today, it's $334,000. What this means is that the primary asset that our generation is going to hold in retirement is no longer their primary residence, but instead a very large retirement fund. Most retirement funds are heavily market focused as well. Historically, the market has done far better from a return perspective than real estate. So it's not really inconceivable to assume that our generation will actually have a higher net worth adjusted for inflation relative to past generations. What we do know is that retirement accounts will play a major role in our generation's retirement, and those accounts come with some benefits. For example, real estate is quite limited in its liquidity. If you want to access the equity within your home, you have to take a loan against the property, and you generally can't produce income against the property unless you have people living in the house with you or you rent it out, which means you're now paying rent elsewhere to rent out your property. Retirement accounts, on the other hand, can generate income. You can invest them into income producing assets, be that stocks that pay dividends, bonds, or whatever else, and you're able to live off of that income, maintain the principal, and use that to pay for rent or other expenses. Now, I'm not saying that you're necessarily better or worse off as a result of this position, being liquid versus not liquid. What I am saying, though, is that our generation will likely be just fine. And I'm not saying that housing isn't an issue. Obviously, I would very much prefer to live in a country where we are building more houses. There's less regulatory constraint for the addition of new properties around the US. That said, I think if this trend continues where there's a limited supply relative to the increasing population and demand in the United States, ultimately, I do think that people will be okay given the contributions that we're seeing to retirement accounts long term. So in short, I don't think we're worse off. Just your portfolio composition is going to look a lot different than your parents'. So keep contributing to your retirement accounts. And as always, if you like this video, comment, follow, and like for more. Thanks.